What is your Tinder horror story? It ended up being a double date with his mom and a OkCupid date. He told me that he and his mom were a package deal. I was mortified and there was no second date. Head with this really hot girl after matching for about a day. And she starts getting all kinky with me. She then tells me she's actually a guy trolling me. I went on a Tinder date a couple months ago on a Sunday afternoon. Met up with the guy around 3. He had a really good energy and was funny and complimentary. The place we wanted to go had a long line. So we went to another restaurant on the water for a drink and appetizers. He started slamming down Mai Tais. I had 1. He had 3. They were strong. I was tipsy, borderline drunk off of 1. The bar had a 2 Mai Tai per person limit. But he found another bartender to get his 3rd. He got drunker and started telling me he loved me. Joking at first but getting increasingly serious. As we left he asked me to marry him. I kind of laughed it off. And was like, maybe we take it slow. We just met each other. He got so mad he stormed off and left me on a street corner. Then as soon as he got home, it was 5 PM, he started texting me, come over. And I miss you. He was 43. WTF. He told me he's not gay but he prefers to have sex with men and prefers to be on the bottom. I asked if he was bi and he said no, I'm straight, I just like getting F-ked in the ass. And then he asked me if he could pee in my butt cause he's always wanted to try it but he won't top guys so he can't find out how it feels. He's the head football coach of a private college in my state and that made it even weirder somehow. Edit. I messaged a girl who wanted to meet up. So I go out to the coffee shop and she's not there. I ask her what's up and she totally admits to being a dude catfishing me just so he could check me out in public. And goes on a rant about what a shame it is that I'm a lesbian because he'd totally FCK me. I feel like the creepiest part for me was that he never once tried to get nudes or anything. Which I'd at least understand the effort for. He just wanted to stare at me in public. Went on a date after talking to this guy for a few weeks and I told him I was thinking of getting my nose pierced but was afraid it would hurt. We are walking through a park in broad daylight and this dude takes a safety pin out of his pocket and F-king jams it through his nostril. Blood pours down his face. He laughs and says, see? No big deal. Dude. WTF. Not me. My dad. Not Tinder either. It was Match. My dad had been on Match for about 3 months with some success. He is a tall Australian man who's decent looking so he had some interest. One weekend he got sent his first nude which he thought had strange. But brushed it off. Later that week he got 6 more nudes from the same woman. Before he blocked her. He decided that he would open them just for kicks. 5 of the pictures are just straight up vag shots, which he said were incredibly unappealing and had terrible lighting. The 6th picture however was something different. The woman was standing in her bra in front of a mirror. Puss out. Winking. With a bunch of herbs shoved in her bra. Basil. Parsley. Thyme. All that good stuff. The caption on the picture was spice rack. She was swiftly blocked after my dad stopped laughing long enough to find the block button. Has your dad ever recovered from being out dad joked by a stranger on a dating site? So I met this girl on Tinder and went for a lunch date. We had a pretty good connection so we decided to have dinner as well. After having a few drinks one thing led to another and ended up back at my place. We hooked up and went to sleep. Middle of the night I wake up. She's intensely staring at me while she's crouched behind the bed. I asked her if everything is alright. She said yes and got back into bed. I thought little creepy. But probably nothing to worry about. She lays down to cuddle with me and she's wet. At the time, I was like damn I must just be a stallion. Fast forward to the morning. She's gone and there's a wet puddle beside the bed. She peed on my floor. I still don't understand it. I had a bathroom. But maybe she just got lost and couldn't hold it? I did not hear from her again. Edit. Just want to be clear. We were both tipsy. And not sloppy drunk. Talked to him for 2 weeks before we went out and no red flags, so we ended up going out to dinner. I said I hadn't been out in a while because I was trying to save money for a washer and dryer. He told me instead of saving for that I should save for a boob job. I didn't even know how to reply, so he followed up with, "No, it's not a bad thing. My sister and mom both had small tits and got boob jobs and they look amazing." This is all before the waitress even brought out drinks. I just got up and left. First date. She wanted me to get into a bar fight with the perfectly friendly guy who'd bought us a round of shots that night. Why? Because she found out he was a Scorpio. Astrology chicks are crazy. Chatted with this girl for about 2 weeks. Every conversation went well and eventually I got her number and she started sharing nudes and speaking dirty. Late on evening after a stressful work day, she talks me into driving an hour to come get coffee with her. She spends the next hour and a half non-stop talking about her ex and how she has to see him at the bank and all this personal upset ex-girlfriend stuff. She cuts me off anytime I try to speak or change the subject right back to him. A day later I get a text about how I didn't do any talking and I was too boring to be anything more than just friends with. She got irate when I pointed out she would not allow me to speak and only wanted to talk about her ex-boyfriend when we have never once had a slow or boring conversation before meeting up. Let's go hunting. Can I have a gun? No. You don't get to have one. I'm never inviting you hunting again. You didn't shoot anything. Not my story. But I knew a guy who had a Freudian slip, more dark side Kermit, bad enough that it ruined everything. I was told this by him after he got home and suffice to say he was like, "Why the FCK did I say that?" Date had been going well. And they were walking back to a bus station. They passed a creepy alley. And she said something to the effect of, "Wow, I would not like to go down that alley." To which he responded, "I imagine you are very rapeable." Suffice to say, she ran for the hills and he was mortified. He very much was not a creepy person and had no clue why the hell he said that. Nor has he, to the extent of my knowledge, paid anyone. But Christ almighty, do I agree with the girl's decision to run. This girl I matched with just messaged to troll me. I was like, "Hey, what's up?" and she was like, "Don't talk to me unless you plan on f-king me with your 9-inch dick." I forgot what my reply was, but she obviously never messaged back. Then a week later I'm getting McDonald's and this girl was the one who handed me my food. She recognizes me instantly and just had this total look of fear in her eyes. I walked out of there so quick. That poor girl thought I purposely sought her out to confront her or something. First date. We went to see a movie. She brought her sister along, without consulting me first, and I somehow ended up paying for both of their tickets. Bit of a doormat. Old me. We went to see Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Turns out, neither of them had seen a Star Wars film before. Nor had any idea at all what was going on. Awesome. Date ended at McDonald's after the movie with 1 hour plus of her eating fries one at a time. And her sister talking shitty about basically everyone at her work. To this day I'm not sure what that date was even about. There was no second date. It kind of sounds like you were just their free shitty ticket, bro. I went to his place and we hooked up, but after he goes, "So you wanna know what I'm really into?" And I was like, "Sure," and then he grabs my foot. He gave me my first kiss. I didn't hear from him for 2 days. On the 3rd day he texted me that he had been arrested. Haven't heard from him since. Edit. 1. Yes. I know for a fact he was arrested. It was confirmed by multiple other people, one of whom didn't know we were together. 2. He was arrested for getting into a fight, wherein he threatened to stab someone. 3. Yes. You can't text from jail, according to hearsay. His ex bailed him out. She smoked some meth. Her dogs ate my wallet. Semicolon. Edit. Thanks for the gold, stranger. Where do I redeem it for prizes? And do they have wallets? This guy asked me if I would be interested in dating his dad. Met up with a Tinder girl at Dave & Buster's. She brought me there for a King pyramid scheme sign up presentation. Me and a girl agreed to a hookup. This was a few years ago. We did the traditional swap nudes beforehand to make sure we both liked what we saw. And she shows up to my place 5 months pregnant. I asked how TF she hide that stomach and she said, hey, you only asked to see my tits and ass. You never asked for a full body. Touch registered sign. But FCKU. Met a guy. Decent conversation. Smart. Funny. Mutual nerdy hobbies. We decide to meet up at the local gamer bar and play some games while having our first date. Get in. Sit down. Dude has no teeth. Says a hack dentist told him they all had to be removed. Couldn't get dentures due to budget. Needed to wait for bone shards go fall out of his gums. Etc. Proceeded to spit all over our food while talking. Which granted. I knew he couldn't help. But if he can hide something this big from someone, what else could he be hiding? Plus I couldn't stomach the thought of making out with someone with no teeth. Well, I've only gone on one Tinder date. We talked for a bit and I agreed to pick her up at Starbucks. She looked nothing like her pictures. But I thought I should be nice and at least hang out with her for a bit. We went to her place and the entire house reeked like cat pee. Like saturated. Then as she proceeded to show me her massive collection of animal tail butt plugs. She screamed at her chihuahua and smacked it right on the nose and without missing a beat just asks if I want to make out on the couch. I awkwardly sat down and pretended to look at my phone and made up that my grandma was dying so I could gtfo. I think I was someone's horror story. My girlfriend and I had broken up about a month ago. I had still not gotten over. So I started using Tinder to go on dates to fill that void. One girl made the unfortunate decision to go on a dinner drinking date with me. The beginning of the date was going well. Until we ordered a few drinks and I proceed to spend the entire 2 hours talking about my ex and venting to this poor girl. Matched with a cute girl who seemed to have all the same nerdy hobbies as I did. So we set up a date at a bar close to my place. We had great conversation over text. So I assumed it would go the same in person. Boy, was I wrong. She barely said a single word. Even with my prompting her with conversation starting questions. And finally she goes, "You're a dog person, aren't you?" I blinked a little confused and just said, "Yeah?" And she goes, "Yeah, I could tell. You're way too excitable and I'm a cat person. I mean, fine. We can like different animals, right?" But then she goes on and on about how she's just like a cat and how me being a dog just wouldn't work. From then on out anything we talked about would lead back to her equals cat and me equals dog. It got weird. I finished my beer and told her I had to be up early. I didn't, and left. I still don't know how the great text converse led to that, but hey. What do I know? I'm just a dumb dog. Matched with my BFF's fiance after the engagement party. Screenshots of everything and lost my BFF because I don't play that. I was uninvited to the wedding. Marriage lasted 18 months. Edit. Thank you for the gold award. Since so many have asked. I did not swipe right. I took a screenshot and asked my friend what she wanted me to do. She asked me to swipe right to see if he was active. I did and he messaged me asking to hook up. I told him off. He still wanted to hook up. I gave her all the screenshots. He uninvited me from the wedding because he was certain I would embarrass him. He was correct. I wouldn't sleep with my friend's fiance. Nor would I pretend that he wasn't a jerk. That's why the friendship ended. She was from a culture that required marriage before children. She was desperate for a baby and thought he was her last chance. He was running for a public office and wanted the smiling wife and cute baby. Yes. They both used each other. Edited to add. Yes. They had a baby. Edited to add. No. He did not get elected. Said she wanted to record us having sex so she could send it to her ex-husband. Over dinner she told me she enjoyed being hit and her favorite kind of sex was safflower rape. I deleted Tinder. Years ago I went on a date. She quickly invited me back to her place. We smoked some weed. Played with her rabbit, not a euphemism, and started hooking up. Then she tells me she can only get off if I beat the shit out of her. Like serious bruising is mandatory. And about how she's been hospitalized for asphyxiation several times. My stoned ass froze up like a deer in headlights. Mumbled that I hope she stays safe. And hopped the FCK out of there faster than her bunny. Matched with this girl, started talking, all was good so far. She invites me over to hers. One thing leads to another and we end up having sex. We agree to keep seeing each other. Couple of days later get a phone call. A man asking me questions about said girl and if I had been there. Turns out to be girl's boyfriend. I confess and tell him I had no idea she had a boyfriend. He tells me it's cool and I inform the girl what just happened. About an hour later I get texts from the boyfriend telling me that he and his boys are gonna FCK me up for what I did. Confused I reply asking what exactly I did. Turns out the girl lied to her boyfriend telling him I arped her. I lose my shit and ring her immediately telling her she better tell the truth or I'll go to the police and show them all the messages between us. Don't hear anything of either for a couple of days until the boyfriend messages again to apologize. Not mine but my friend's. He hooked up with this girl he'd been talking to for a while. They met early in the afternoon on a Sunday for a walk in the park. Sunny spring day. Things are going well. He'd been out drinking the day before and his stomach starts acting up and he realizes he needs to fart. This one will not only smell but will probably be loud as well. He spots a tin can a few yards down the pathway. And gets this brilliant idea that he's gonna kick it simultaneously with his fart. To cover up the sound. So he runs up to the can. To get a few yards between them. Takes aim and kicks. And misses the can. The effort only increases the volume of the fart. On top of it all he realized he probably shit his pants a little bit as well. Without hesitation he just keeps on running and doesn't look back. So from her perspective, she's having a nice walk with this guy who suddenly starts running. Kicks in the air. Farts and keep running Forrest Gump style. And that's all she wrote. I matched with a girl who was also named Tyler. She messaged me and just said Tyler. So I said Tyler. This went back and forth like 3 or 4 times. Just saying Tyler. So then I said, I think this is probably how Pokemon use Tinder. She unmatched me. Probably the funniest thing I ever said on Tinder. And she didn't get it. Clearly it would have never worked out with us. Matched. Met up for drinks. Came back to my place. Sounds great, right? Shows up with a plastic half-gallon of tequila and takes 8-10 shots within 10 minutes only to stop when she took a few different psych meds. Tried to hook up while blackout drunk and I denied for obvious reasons. Got mad and hit me in the face 3 times. Busting my lip and nose. Walked out of my apartment with nothing but panties on while it was snowing. Never saw her again. I don't even get far enough to experience horror stories. My Tinder horror story was being offered $30 for a premium Snapchat and not immediately saying no. Minus 40% guys seeming hella cool. Convincing you to have sex and then ghosting you after. Minus 25% depressed guys talking about how depressed they are without realizing they are depressed. Minus 20% guys not over their exes just wanting to vent. Minus 10% weirdos who are hella awkward and talk about aliens like they're a religion. Minus 5% nice guys who will actually take it somewhere. Edit. Didn't know this would get any upvotes, so sorry for the crappy punctuation. Edit 2. Ow haha, I got my first award. 2 years later and she still won't go home.